Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om, I bow to the Lord Vasudeva. Joy to you, friends. This is a famous passage or sloka, stanza in the Gita. 69. That which is night for the unenlightened is day for the yogi, and that which is day for ordinary people is night for the yogi, who perceives the inner reality. Well, the meaning here is that it's several-fold. First of all, obviously, the yogi, usually it's easier to meditate at night because then things are quieter. I remember living in a section of San Francisco many years ago, and it was pretty quiet. It was removed from the main traffic, and yet even so, at night, when I can't say that it was more quiet outwardly, it was much easier to meditate because people's minds were not restless. People's minds were asleep, and I would feel the peace of the town in a way that I couldn't feel it normally. And so it's quite true that meditating late at night is a good time to meditate, especially if you live in crowded areas, because you'll find it easier not to be bothered by all people's restless desires, materialism, and so on. But there is a deeper meaning for this in this stanza, and that is that which is meaningful to worldly people is not meaningful to the yogi. And that which is meaningful to the yogi, unfortunately, is not meaningful to the worldly person. I remember trying my best to show a friend of mine the logic of seeking God. And he finally said to me, you know, it may be very fine, but I'm just not interested. So what could I do? People have to come on their own. This is what used to, when I was new on the path, I was really so thrilled with these teachings. I wanted everybody to hear them. I thought if they hear the logic of it, they'll surely embrace this truth. But I found that you can lead a horse to water, but you can't make it drink. They have to become thirsty. That's why that saint, when a boy came to him and asked to be his student, and the saint took him down to a river and held his head under water for a little bit longer than the boy wanted. And when he brought him up, he said, "What did you want?" And the boy, gasping, said, "Air, air, I wanted air." And the saint said, when you want God that badly, come back to me. But in a way, it should be that way with the spiritual path. And yet, if anybody can be turned a little bit in the direction of seeking truth, surely that's better than nothing. And so I keep trying. But I know in my heart that I will only succeed with those who already know what I'm trying to tell them. You can't teach them anything. You can help people to remember the truths that they long for. But until they long for it, they won't hear them. There are incarnations that we have to go through of suffering and pain until finally we say, nothing has been working for me. What can I do? How can I get out of it? And even then, if it's only intellectual, they'll go on to it for a while. They'll think, oh, it makes sense. And then they'll get a desire for worldly things again, and they'll go back to the world. Sooner or later, you reach the point where you just feel you've had it. And you understand then that what seems like emptiness, a life of just meditating, what are you doing? What are you doing for yourself? Aren't you having any fun? But sooner or later, you'll reach that point where you realize that which is night for the worldly person is day for the yogi. That which seems unendurable to the worldly person is the only true joy for the yogi. This is not the definition of joy, but you will find that those whose values change in a spiritual direction, they no longer are interested in the things of this world. People could invite me to a nightclub and tell me how wonderful it is, what beautiful music there is, what wonderful liquor they serve, whatever they want to tell me, I just wouldn't want to go. It doesn't attract me anymore. The world doesn't attract me. Somebody could offer me $1 million if I would become the CEO of a big company. He said he could tell me you'll have millions of dollars every year. I'm capable of doing such a job, I think. But whether I am or not, I don't care. I don't want it. To me, that is night, that is darkness, that is hell. We could say that which is heaven for the worldly man is hell for the yogi, and vice versa. I think if a woman who argues all the time and nags all the time were to go to heaven, she would be arguing and nagging all the time. That's why it would be better to be in hell with a few wise men than in heaven with fools. But true heaven is not like that. True heaven is those who have attained that state of peace in themselves. That's why there is a barrier between these different planes of consciousness. Artists go to artistic heavens. Spiritual people go to spiritual heavens. People who love beautiful music go to heavens where music is enjoyed. You are attracted there where your own vibration and magnetism draw you. And when you wish for spiritual things, then the things of this world just don't hold any appeal anymore. You don't spend your time criticizing other people for it. You just say, well, no longer for me, thank you. When I bought Autobiography of a Yogi and this, I met this friend in the bookstore from high school, and he was talking about his glowing future in radio and advertising and so on. The more he talked, the more I hugged this book to my chest. I thought, you can have it, but I don't want it. And so when you seek God, you will find that it's not a strain living in God. It's not a strain thinking of God. It's not a strain to meditate and love God. It may be a bit difficult in the beginning because you have to change your habits. But once you're into it, then the only thing that's worth doing is that. And you're perfectly happy just being absorbed in the inner bliss. So that which is seemingly pleasant to the worldly person is hell to the yogi, and that which is heaven to the worldly person, that which is heaven for the yogi, is something unthinkable, unendurable. What the worldly person would do, the first thing he'd do going into an ashram of a saint would be, so what do we do here for excitement? How can we stir up a little fun? That's not yoga. When to the peaceless, how is happiness possible? When you can understand your need for peace, then you will understand the kind of happiness you are really looking for. And when you can understand that that happiness is not a passive thing, it's not something you get when everything else is gone. It's something vibrant and real in itself. And it's so wonderful when you get it. You never have found in the life of anyone who has ever meditated and found God, not one has ever said, oh, what a disillusion. People who seek money will say that. People who seek fame will say that. Ian Fleming, who wrote the Bond series, he said it was fun being famous for a while, but now it's just ashes, old boy, just ashes. This world is just ashes. The joy of your own being, that is to be found in the self, in the soul. Joy to you.